have a problem. I'm starting a project because I have a legitimate problem. So this TBR cart used to be just these bottom two shelves stacked reasonably with a reasonable amount of books that I wanted to read that I had physical copies of. And it was cute. This top row was just like a little TBR jar, some bookmarks, some like tabs for annotating, maybe some pens. It was like a cute little display. This has gotten unreasonable. I have books shoved in between the shelves, but then I also have these books just precariously stacked on top because originally, instead of stacking books on top of books like this, I had them on piles on the floor. But that is how I lost my cloth bound classic copy of White Knights. I'm I'm still processing this devastation. I had literally just purchased this book. I had put it there because I wanted to pick it up soon, and my dog destroyed it. My dog destroyed it. She ate the entire front cover, and then just destroyed everything else. So I can't have books on the floor anymore. That's a hazard to my dog. However, stacking books like this, unsecure, unstable. I have a toddler. This definitely is not child safe. So legitimately have a problem, and the only way that I can fix it is to read these books. I just have to do that. I am so well fed by my library. My library almost always has exactly what I want when I want it in a way that fulfills my mood reading like no one else does. You know, they're just incredible. They're absolutely incredible. I do have books on hold right now. I'm going to need to lock in and ignore those because this is priority. Um, I did make a pretty good dent in the last week and a half. I have read 4 books, physical books from the shelf in the last week and a half. Let me grab those because I actually do want to talk about them real quick. Okay, so I did read 4 books in the last week and a half. So my project is underway and it is going well. So the first book that I read, mass market paperback of a historical romance from the 90s. When I am slumping, these always get me back. They always bring me back. Something about that historical romance formula just flips that lever in my brain of like, oh, wait, we do love reading. We do want to be doing this. And I'm in it again. And this is Flowers from the Storm by Laura Kinsale. It's from the 90s. I want to say like 92, maybe. And in this specific story, we have like a Quaker woman, and she is aware of this Duke prior to the inciting incident because he's this like mathematical genius who works with her father, and she helps them with their like annotations and studies and stuff because this woman's father is blind. And the inciting incident is that this Duke has like a medical event, like a severe medical emergency. They never like really like spell out exactly what it was, but in my mind, it equated to like a stroke. And he becomes like nonverbal. It's hard for him to move afterwards, and he needs like extensive rehabilitation. But instead of getting that, his parents just like, or his family just has him institutionalized. And this woman is able to like help him out of the institution and help him get his life back. And it was so good. There was like a short section at the end where I feel like it could have been like edited down because it felt like everything else had been resolved, but they were still like wavering back and forth on like things that felt like they were already resolved. So there was a few moments towards the end where I was like, come on, let's do this. This is like 470 pages, slightly longer, I think, than it needed to be. However, I had an excellent time with it. I loved the premise of it. Yes, 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 yes. I have more Laura Kinsale books loaded onto my Kindle. I need to ignore them for the time being because this is priority, but they're there for me for when this project feels complete. Another book that I finished recently, I took my time with this one. It took maybe more like a month and a half to read it, but it's Perfect Victims and the Politics of Appeal by Mohammed El-Kurd. This is my invitation to you to pick this up. I think this is required reading, and it was excellent. But yeah, this one is like especially important, especially, you know, the politics of appeal are you appealing as a victim? Have we humanized you enough to allow other people to see you as victims? Like, this is really important. There was even like specific mention here about like citizenship and legality and using that as your moral compass for who and who is not a victim. Again, this can apply to so many other things, and it's important to make that application, but you should also just read this for, Palestine. Highly recommend. Another one that I read recently is Bel Canto by Ann Patchett. This is the first book by Ann Patchett that I've ever read. I know she has an extensive backlist that's very impressive. This is the one I decided to start with. It's loosely based on the Lima crisis, which, if you know anything about that, you know that it's a hostage situation. So going into this story, I anticipated it being like high stakes. This is the slowest hostage book I had never even imagined. Like, I did not realize that that's what it was going to be when I got into it. Essentially, there's this like big businessman from Japan, and he goes to this unnamed Latin America country for his birthday that the government is hosting for him in the hopes that he brings business to their country. And instead, they end up being held hostage by a local militant group. And this book ends up being like a really interesting character study of the people holding them hostage and all of the different like diplomats and businessmen and attendees of this party who all speak like completely different languages. I thought the character study in and of itself was really interesting. I loved the role that translation played, and like the single translator that they had there. I loved his role when it related to like negotiations and like learning who these people are and like building relationships. I loved the role that like artistic passion played, not just in like the character who's an opera singer in this story, but also in the people who maybe never got that chance. I really loved that. However, there are like things, and that like the way this book is written feels like it is specifically written to stretch my like reading stamina. These chapters felt so long. Like, I liked the story, I wanted to continue with it, but my brain wanted to take more breaks than the chapter breaks allowed. And I also just think that like the epilogue wasn't necessary. I don't think we needed it. I am somebody who loves like the romance genre. I love like a tidy bow on things. However, I just like don't think that that was necessary in this story. I don't want to like spoil things for people who maybe haven't read it, but like I didn't need that, and I feel like it kind of like maybe cheapened the story a little bit, but I still enjoyed everything leading up to it. Like, I have mixed feelings about this one, but I did like it. And then the other one that I read recently was a thriller, Such a Perfect Family by Nalini Singh. I've read just about, I want to say over 40 Nalini Singh books because I've read all of the Psy Changeling series. I've read the Psy Changeling Trinity series that's like still ongoing. There's a book coming out in December for that one I'm really excited about. And I read like the Archangel series that she has on that one too. I've read most of those. I haven't finished it because I kind of got burned out on it, but at that point in time I had read like 40 plus Nalini Singh books. So I think it just needed a break. I'll probably come back to it at a certain point. However, this is the first thriller from Nalini Singh that I have read, and I did like it. I don't pick up thrillers all that often, but if she writes it, I will read it. And I was feeling, a bit of the Summerween spirit recently. So I picked this one up. This one was interesting. There was like a couple who eloped in Vegas after only knowing each other for a couple months, and then they move back in with the woman's parents, and her family's all like very close, but like this couple is still like learning about each other's backstory, and they know that there's like some darkness there, but they don't know exactly what it is yet. And so he's got some darkness as it relates to like his ex-lovers. She has some darkness because of like some early things that happened with her family life, and he ends up having to investigate on his own what those things are on her side, because he comes home one day and like the whole house is just burned down. Most of the family did not survive. His wife did survive, but she's like in intensive care. They don't know if she's going to make it through. So in order to clear his name, because he's like suspect number one, he's investigating what happened. and I liked it. I liked it. I had a good time with it. It was very digestible, not too spooky where I felt like I like couldn't walk around my house without being paranoid. Like that's happened. That's part of why I like avoid some thrillers. But I didn't get that with this book. So like not too scary, but still like thrilling enough that I was interested to see what was happening on the next page, you know? These are the 4 books that I've knocked out most recently. Now I do need to find a home for them on my bookshelf of books that I have read. Is there room on that bookshelf? No. That's a problem for me for another time. There's more room on that bookshelf than there is on this one, and that one is secured. So I'll have to put those away at another time. But until then, I need to pick out a book to read next, because if I don't do it immediately, then my brain forgets. So I have a very, very old TBR jar over here that I will pull from. And like I said, it's really old, so there might be some books in here that I have already read or maybe already given up on. We'll see. This is Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall. I have read that. Also would recommend. How about The Secret History by Donna Tartt? That book has been on the shelf for a very long time. I read The Goldfinch a couple years ago. I want to say like maybe 5 years ago. And I did really like it. It was so long and so miserable that I gave up on it after like 600 pages. I was like, I can't believe that this is still so miserable. Because it was like, I want to say close to 800 pages, and I was like 640 pages in, and I was like, this is so dark. And again, I read it 5 or 6 years ago at a time in life, like 2020. Dark in the world, dark personally, dark in life. I think I was over it. I might go back to that one at some point in time. But I think that's why I didn't pick up The Secret History as quickly as I thought I was going to. But apparently now's the time. Now's the time to pick up The Secret History. I don't know. I will get reading on this one and keep you posted. My general guide when starting books is like I give it like 50 pages, and if I'm not liking it by then, I decide whether or not I'm going to DNF. I think that's also going to be like one of the only ways I start getting through these books. Like I need to DNF the books that are going to not be it for me. I guess I'm starting with The Secret History. Okay. Wish me luck.